The notes for Unit 8, Lesson 1 will cover acid-base properties. So this is the last unit that we'll cover this trimester. This is in Chapter 19 and 20 of your textbook if you need supplemental materials. So make sure you have your notes packet or a notebook available to write down the notes for this unit. So today, after today's notes, you'll be able to explain the differences and similarities between acids and bases. So on the left side is properties of acids. So acids taste sour. They ionize. So ionize means to break apart into ions. So if you need to add that in. So they break apart into ions. And remember, ions are just charged particles. So ions have either a positive or negative charge. So acids ionize in water to form H+. And you'll see that H+ kind of be a common theme with properties of acids. So electrolytes are something that we skipped from last unit, but acids are also electrolytes. Electrolytes are anything that conduct electricity in solution. So because acids have a positive and negative charge from the H+ ion, when they ionize in water, that positive and negative charge will conduct a current. So if you put electricity into, or if you run a current through a solution of an acid, it will conduct electricity. pH is another property that we'll talk about. So the pH scale runs from 0 to 14. Anything less than 7 is going to be considered acidic. And then the next property is H+ concentration. So the little brackets on each side represent concentration. So remember, concentration is your molarity. We'll put molarity as well. So the concentration of H+ is going to be greater than the concentration of OH-. And that's because, again, acids break apart into H+ ions, so they're going to have more of that in solution. And then litmus paper is another indicator test that is often used for acids and bases. If the litmus paper is placed in an acid, it will turn red to indicate that it's acidic. All right, and then properties of bases are pretty much just the opposite. Bases taste bitter. So bases are often like soap. They're used in cleaning products. Acids, they taste sour, so those are like your citrus fruits like lemons and oranges. So bases taste bitter. They feel slippery, so if you feel like if you're cleaning with bleach, the bleach is going to make your fingers very slippery. Bases will ionize in water to form this OH- ion, so that's kind of a way to identify a base. Because this OH has a negative charge, that means bases will also have a positive and negative charge, which means they will also conduct a current. So they are electrolytes. Bases have a pH greater than 7, so it'd be anywhere from 7.1 to 14. In bases, the H+ concentration is going to be less than the OH concentration. They're going to have a stronger OH concentration. And then bases will turn litmus paper blue. So if you can remember, blue is basic. Litmus paper only turns red or blue. It doesn't change any other color. So bases are blue, and then acids turn red. So for definitions, there's actually 3 different definitions of an acid. We will just cover one of them. This is the most common one. It's called the Arrhenius acid. So the Arrhenius acid, so this is how you identify if a substance is an acid or base. An Arrhenius acid is a substance that ionizes. Again, ionizes means to break apart in water to form H+ ions. So there's 2 ways to write the example equation. One is if you have HCl, it's going to break up into H+ and Cl- ions. Another way to write this is if you include the water. So if you're saying, you have HCl in water, it's going to break up into, so basically what happens is a hydrogen ion is donated. So this one, this example, the second one, the hydrogen ion actually just comes apart. Sorry, I'm recording these notes outside, and our neighbor has a motorcycle, so it's kind of loud sometimes. Anyway, so the H plus ion is donated, so it actually gets donated to the H2O. So you end up with H3O plus and Cl minus. So these are the two ways that you could write the equation. One thing that you should note is the H3O plus substance is the same as the H plus. So those two represent the same thing, and you'll see them used interchangeably. So that's just something to note. The H3O plus is called the hydronium ion. So hydronium is H3O plus. And like we said, it's formed when water, so if you have two water molecules, one of the hydrogens gets donated to the other. So you're going to end up with H3O plus and then OH minus. And that we'll talk a little bit about more on the next slide. But this is a hydronium ion. So acids will form this H plus ion. Bases will produce an OH minus ion. So any formula that you look at that ends with OH, you can assume it's a base. And any formula that you look at that starts with a H, you can assume it's an acid. So Arrhenius bases will ionize in water to form OH minus ions. So anything that has this OH minus ion is going to be considered a base. All right, and one last topic that you should note is called self-ionization of water. So again, there's two ways to write the equation. The first one is here, the second one is here. The first one just has one water molecule, the second has two water molecules. So that's the only difference between them. But basically, water can act as an acid or a base. So if you have water, H2O can also be written as HOH. So you have the H plus ion and the OH minus ion. Hydrogen is +1, OH is -1. So if you combine those hydrogens, you get H2O. So hydrogen can act as water can act as an acid because it will dissociate or break apart to form this H plus ion. It can also act like a base because it will also break up to form the OH minus ion. So that's a property of water. It's called amphoteric, but basically it can act as an acid or a base. And then again, if you have two water molecules, one of these hydrogens gets transferred to the other. So then you end up with H3O plus, and remember, H plus and H3O plus represent the same thing, so that would be your acid. And then the OH minus ion would be left, and so that would represent the base. And then this is just an actual picture of the molecule, so you can see, the difference between them. So I believe that is it for Lesson 1 notes. So Lesson 1 just kind of covers the basic properties of acids and bases. In your digital notebook, you'll look at some common examples of acids and bases that you would have in your kitchen or, in your bathroom or at home. So as always, let me know what questions you have.